Hello, everybody. It's your boy Shane G. We are here once again with OTI, Open to Interpretation, right here on the Ethos Media Network. As always, we appreciate you guys for joining us once again. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Today, what we're gonna talk to you all about, we're gonna get into what it's like perspective wise, when somebody gets money, and maybe necessarily the people around them haven't seen that same success. They always say that money changes people. They also always say that money amplifies who you are, and they also say that money doesn't change you, but it changes the people around you. So we're going to talk about all of that. But first, you know how we do. Let's get into the clip.
Why do rich people only have rich friends? One reason is the rich choose their friends wisely. It's no coincidence that we see rich people having only rich friends. Two of the wealthiest men on earth, Mr. Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, have been friends for almost 30 years now. Over the years, they've shared many ideas together, partnered with each other for philanthropic causes, and have been mutual mentors to each other. Both men agree that choosing the right friends and surrounding yourself with the right company is crucial for success. You'll move in the direction of the people you associate with, says Buffett, so it's important to associate with people that are better than yourself. You want to associate with people who are the kind of person you'd like to be. Gates also echoes the same feelings, as he realizes the importance of having friends who are willing to guide him in the right direction. Some friends challenge you about things you're doing, and that level of intimacy is great, he says. It's really through Melinda and seeing other people I realized, okay, it's really worth the investment to have those people, as you're always there to help them and vice versa. There's a very old and common proverb that states, a man is known by the company he keeps. If a person is good, but he constantly associates with bad company, or a bad group of friends, there will eventually come a time when that bad group of friends will start influencing his actions and behaviors.
All right. So, with that in mind, we're going to get into it. Let me bring the fellas on. I got LOF, Lack of Flaws, and I got the homie Twine. What's going on, fellas? How we doing?
Yeah,
What
what's
up,
up? What's
though?
up?
All right. So just want to say, this did start off with an all-camera conversation that me and LOF were having. Basically we were just sort of, sharing different perspectives on what it could be like, or why certain people have the outlooks that they have. So for example, the example that I gave that gave the two sides was, for example, Flaw hits me up every year on my birthday, right? Now, I don't know that the reason he hits me up is because he gets a notice in his phone that says, hey, it's Shane's birthday, hit him up. I just know that he hits me up every year. So if all of a sudden that communication stopped and it happened to coincide with a certain level of success he would have, a certain time frame would go by where I'm like, hey, he's busy, he's doing his thing, he's blowing up. I gotta give him that. Gotta give him that. But after so long, if it were to just like the communication just stopped, I would feel like, okay, that success got in the way of our friendship to a degree. And he was basically saying that sounds crazy to him because then I'm just totally discounting all of the new things that come into his life with that success. So that was basically the basis in the duopoly of the conversation. Flaw, would you agree with that synopsis, or is there anything you'd like to add to that? Or
No, I mean, I think that's a good place to start.
okay. So Twan, what are your thoughts on that, man? Like, have you seen this? Where two people start off maybe in the same area, same house, same standard of living, that type of situation, and one of them ends up here and quote
Yeah.
unquote leaves the other one behind?
Leaves the other one behind.
Quote unquote, quote unquote, because I don't want to frame it any type of way.
Yeah, I see it. I see it all the time. Just because it's two different individuals and everybody makes different decisions. I don't really understand the concept of leaving somebody behind. Like at the end of the day, everybody has choices, and it's all about the individual choices you make and the work you put in. Like I don't know, man. Like, it's kind of tough because you can't make anybody do something. Like, a person can see you putting it work into something, and they might not have faith in what you're doing. And I think that's like one of the biggest things to get overlooked. Is like people be quick to tell successful people they changed or they acting funny, but like, what can successful people say about how you were acting when you didn't know whether they were gonna make it? And they were putting in all this work, and you might have been on doing something else. Like, man, that shit ain't gonna work. So it's like two sides to every coin, man. Like, I just think everybody gets an individual choice, and the truth of the matter is, my personal opinion is, nobody owes you nothing. So like anything that somebody do for you, or look out, or pay for it, or throw you a bone per se, it's just a blessing. So it's like you can't look at nobody else's success and understand or try to understand what they're going through if you never went through it yourself.
Okay. Just want a follow-up question. Can you have that opinion and also have the opinion that if one of us is fucked up, we're all fucked up still? And when I say that, I mean the mentality of, hey, me and mine are doing great. So if everybody else is not, that ain't my problem. Can you have both opinions?
Oh, you saying can people be selfish?
Well, the reason I'm saying that, yeah. I mean, sure, you can
Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely, people can be selfish. But the point I'm making you is, what do you really owe somebody else? Like, what do I really owe you? Like, at the end of the day, like, I can look at all my friends and I can say my friends were there for me and they helped me do certain things, but none of my friends birthed me. They didn't push me out their womb. None of my friends raised me. So it's like, what do I really owe you? Like, at the end of the day, I think it's some things that come with friendship and camaraderie that you would hope, being a solid human or whatever you want to call it. Like, damn, I hope he would throw me that bone if he see me doing it like this. But the truth of the matter is, what people don't realize is this, man. My grandfather used to tell me this all the time. I can stick my hand out, but the part that people always forget is you got to stick your hand out for me to grab you out. Like, I'm not about to do all the work. All I could do is stick my hand out. If you don't reach your hand out and grab my hand and help me help you, what can I do? A lot of people want you to give them the money and not the game plan. And the financial success is the end result. And they skip over everything it took to get to the money. And it's like, bro, what are you saying? Like, if you see me, I'm the type of person like this. I have friends of mine that I know that are millionaires. I've never asked them for $1. But what I would do is, where if I see that I can help them and in turn it will help me, I will let my talents and resources be known. Like, oh man, I can help put that together for you. That's what you do. Like, if your friend has a certain amount of access and one of your friends become a celebrity and you understand what comes with that, it will behoove you to figure out a way to become an asset to that friend even more than you once was. Okay. Most people aren't turning down assets.
So let me pause there, because that's where some of the disconnect, in my opinion, some of the disconnect came in, because I think from I'll call it the common man's perspective, the person who gets on becomes unreachable. They become, you can't get to this person now without going through 3 or 4 layers, when it used to not be that way. So how can I show them my talents or the things that I could be an asset to, where I'm not a leech, I'm working for my own, but I'm attached to what they got going on? How can I even show them that when they're so far removed now? Because you see what I'm saying?
I'm gonna say this. If now I'm only using this in the context of what we consider friends. I don't call a lot of people my friends. Like, if you're really my friend, it's not going to take 3 or 4 layers for you to get in contact with me if you're really my friend. And I think a lot of people kind of confuse the word friend, the word associate. Also understanding convenience, like, nigga, were we really friends or we just was from the same hood and we're in the same situation? Because at the same time, this is the point I'm making. If you were my friend, then that means as I was putting it together, you would have been there along the way too. Like as I'm rising to this spot, not saying that you would have had to help, but if you're really my friend, I would have been able to converse with you, let you know what I had going on. Man, I'm putting this on the flow. I'm going out for this acting role. Da 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 da. So I think we have to all take a step back and started reevaluating what friend is. And then I think a lot of the times what end up being crossed over is the word family, because you can be my family, but not even be behind me like a friend would. Like family, just because we related through blood. So it's just a lot of layers to it, man. It's a lot of layers, because I feel like if you really was a nigga friend, it ain't gonna be no 4 layers. Like I don't know any of these celebrities' personal situations, but I have a hard time believing that Tata or one of these people you hear Jay-Z speak of frequently have to go through 5 buffers to get in contact with him. Like, I just have a hard time believing that now. Obviously, I don't know, and I could be completely wrong, but that's just my opinion on it.
All right, so here, because I think part of the conversation is missing, because the example that Shane gave me was one of ourselves. So Shane and I there was a time where Shane and I, as we've known each other for the better part of almost 20 years. So there's been periods of time where he was off doing his thing, I was off doing mine, and we just didn't necessarily communicate as much or as frequently as we would in other situations. So I think the phone call on the birthday, whether that's a notification, whether that's me being aware of what day it is, but if my circumstance changed where I'm no longer either controlling my schedule like that, or I've been traveling so much that my days ain't the same. You know what I'm saying? Like my days, me keeping track of my days is different. And we've all had weeks where we like, what day is it? It's today Friday? And they be like, nah, bro, today's Sunday. Like we've all been there. And I don't think that we account for that. If I never called you back, I would understand. Like if I just never called you back, but if I missed your birthday, and like I told you off camera, if I ever missed your birthday and I never called ever again, then yeah, I would understand your statement. But if it's just not your birthday or it's after the fact, but I also to Twan's point, did you call that person on their birthday? It's very easy to account for what a person is doing for you. What I never hear is what people are doing for that other person. I know how many phone calls I make per year on birthdays alone. That number never equals the number of phone calls that I get. Now, I'm not a person who needs that to feel loved, or I don't need the extra attention. I'm saying that from a standpoint of there's a lot of people that you may give something to that aren't either aware or in a position to give it back.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. And I think it was more so not necessarily the act itself, but sometimes it's what an act can represent. So just using that example, it was more so in those times where we may not, be talking as much or whatever because, of life happening and whatever. It was like that could be the subtle reminder to somebody, like, I still fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so it's more so that than the actual acknowledgement of my birthday. It's more so hey, we still, you know what I mean? Like, it's more so one of those things. So if that were to stop, like, and again, that's.
But look at where it started.
It all comes down to
expectation. It started with the fact that I hit you on your birthday. And everybody that's watching, this is just an example. Like,
this is purely a hypothetical, obviously, right? This is where
there's no issues to me and Shane. But as far as the thing is, you hit me on my birthday, and at a certain point, there's an expectation that's being created, whether you say it or not. And when I made the statement, people need to give people room for shit to happen to people or for something to come up. That's a real thing, especially for somebody that's not actively in your life like that. There's a lot of times where that was the only time you'd hear from me in that year, but it probably had double the value or triple the value because of the one time I hit you. It's also your birthday. Even though this person stops what he's doing, we ain't talked in a year and a half, but this person still stops not to hit me on Facebook, but to personally hit me and say, yo, bro, happy birthday. Hope you having a good year. Wishing you many more years of success. So I could understand how that one action could have more value in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
At any given moment.
This is the point that I make, and I make this point with my family all the time. Because I'm one of the busier people in my family, but I'm also a person that reaches out to my family a lot. But then, you know, whether it be jokingly or serious, I have family like, oh, you didn't hit me. And then if they catch me in a bad mood, I just tell them the truth. Like, nigga, my number the same. The phone line work two ways. Now you can call me funny acting if you actively also trying to hit me up and I'm never picking up. I'm never returning your calls. I'm never doing anything. But to put that pressure on one person and make it a one-way street, it's kind of like, well, damn, do you fuck with me? Like, do you ever just think of me? Like, let me hit up cuz. Let me hit up my homie. Let me see what he on. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, it's no thing that's a one-way thing. Like, everybody has a life, and as people grow older and get family and get kids and get businesses that are like kids and things to take away your attention, the truth of the matter is, nigga, you ain't my priority like that. Don't mean I fuck with you nonetheless or any lesser. It's just that I have other things that occupy my time. Maybe I'm tired. And guess what? Maybe you'll remind me if you hit me up sometime and it'll become more of a back and forth thing again. But when you just sit back and people sit back and get an attitude like dog ain't hit me, that's so narcissistic to me. Because before you feel that way, you should reach out to dog. That shit crazy to me. Like, I don't really understand that perspective, man, at all. Because I would never,
definitely.
I would never
I
get
think
mad
I
at
might have
something.
been speaking. I'm sorry. I was just gonna say I think I was speaking with those assumptions maybe implied, like that the person that the person who is successful is hard to reach now. You know what I'm saying? And
But
they
this
just
is the
sort
thing.
of expect the common person to just understand it. Like, yo, I'm famous now, nigga. You got to roll with it. Like, this is what it is. And the common person doesn't understand that because all they knew is, yo, we was cool all this time. And all of a sudden you blew up and I don't hear from you now,
But
even though
but
you
but this is
get
the
what I'm
point I'm
saying? Like,
making. This all I'm saying, Shane, is you got to give people grace. You got to
for
give
sure.
people the same grace you would expect, man. Like, at the end of the day, it's niggas that knew Kanye West when he was selling beats for $50. You think they can get a beat for $50 now? No. Like, times change, things change. Like, nothing is stagnant, man. Energy is always moving forward or being destroyed. Nothing is staying the same. So it's kind of like you have to temper your expectations, meaning like, bro, I'm just busy. And that's cool because this is the truth. And I'm not even trying to be funny. If a motherfucker had the same motion going on, they would understand it. Like, damn, bro, I'd be busy. I don't feel like you never hear that from two people that's busy.
You don't
Like,
ever,
oh,
you
you
know what?
shitting
You
on
know
me.
what? That's fair. That's fair. You don't never hear that shit from two hustlers that's been moving at a similar pace. It's a mutual respect of I didn't take it personal because I've been moving and you don't take it personal because you've been moving. It's usually, in my experience, is usually connected to someone looking for someone to do something else. It's usually connected to another move. It's never just I'm trying to catch up. In my experience, y'all can tell me if y'all think I'm wrong, but in my experience, it's never as simple as just I'm trying to catch up. It's usually I've been trying to catch up for this. In my experience, it's never just I'm just trying to catch up. Even
I
if
get
it's
what you're
something,
saying.
even if it's something as simple as tickets to a show, as an example. It's still a reason. It's very seldomly because you were wondering how I was doing.
Right.
That's
Well, let me
all I'm
ask y'all
saying.
this. Let me ask y'all this. Let's take a step outside of the personal relationship aspect of it, right? Let's step back from friendship and family expectations. Let's broaden it out to community expectations. Because in order, first of all, I would argue that you have to have certain things in place for there to be a community established. And within that community, you're going to need resources, you're going to need, these different things in order for your community to be strong. I would argue that the Black community in America has been lacking the things as a whole that we would need to be a strong community. What should be the expectation, or should there be an expectation of the wealthier members of that community towards the community?
I mean, you can put your own
Because
expectations.
because the
Go
only
ahead.
reason I ask that is because I think because we sort of we've touched on this in previous episodes, how you need a strong community is only as strong as its weakest link. So if that's the case, but people still have that same approach of, hey, I did XYZ to get where I'm at, you didn't do XYZ to get where I'm at, so therefore you can't have none of what I got. Do we take that same approach with the community as well? And if so,
It's a
how do
double.
we? You see what I'm saying? Like
It's a double.
that's where I get confused, I guess.
It's a double-edged sword, Shane, and that's just keeping the shit 100. Because one, I don't know what the community put into this particular person to where he might feel like he owed the community, right? And then let's keep it real. Where do most celebrities and rappers end up getting killed and robbed at? In their community. So why the fuck am I coming back here and y'all niggas ain't looking out for me? Y'all ain't making sure I ain't getting touched. I'm getting robbed, killed, shot. What do you mean? People can't expect shit and you ain't treating people accordingly. Like,
but do you have to physically be there in order to contribute to your community?
Man, flat out, yes, bro. Come on, we talking about people that are. I done seen it happen. Oh, he's sending money, but he don't never come through. The people don't never lay eyes on him. The people don't da. Like, all I'm saying is just a double-edged sword. Like, you can't have expectations of people that have made it out the ghetto and act like they don't know where they come from. I know the ills of this community. I'm from here. So
I don't feel like you got to sit there to be able to have a positive impact on. I don't feel like you have to sit there to have a positive impact on your community.
I think you have a much bigger impact when people see it. Like,
don't
that's
get me
how
wrong.
I feel.
I'm not. I don't feel like you coming through and being present from time to time is the same as you coming and sitting in your neighborhood.
Well, you ain't gonna have to sit nowhere, but shit, it be motherfuckers just making appearances in neighborhoods and shit go left. Like, shit can go.
I get that. I'm referring to, but that when I made the statement, do you have to be in your community on a regular basis to have an impact? And I feel like the answer to that is no. Like, I feel like at the end of the day, do you need me to particularly, or not even, again, not a me thing, but do you need a person to come through and open a community center and be there? Or do you need the community center there that has lights and a working gym and swimming opportunities and computer labs and science labs and the utensils that need to go in there for proper education? So at a certain point, do you need me to bring awareness to this thing that's now available?
No, you don't. I don't think.
And like, I'll give you another example real quick before.
I think it makes a bigger impact.
No, we're not.
I was gonna say like LeBron. Like, I don't think LeBron is in the hood like that, but I would argue he's definitely making a huge impact there. You get what I'm saying?
LeBron be in Akron all the time. Like, he be in Akron. Like,
what's all the time?
A lot.
I'm gonna
put it to you this way.
He be all the time, because like Nipsey was really all the time in his hood.
Yeah,
like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
because Nipsey,
that's a great example.
Nipsey
Like, I
had
don't
a
know if
business.
LeBron is
Hold on,
always
that's
this.
totally different. That's totally different. Let's not compare Nipsey finances to LeBron James' schedule or anything like that. Nipsey was a rapper, so he didn't have the same obligations that LeBron James has. Nipsey had a business that happened to be in his community that him and his brother operated and were there every day. LeBron James, put it to you this way.
But that
LeBron
was a
James
choice.
has
That's what we're saying. That was a choice. That's two different
I,
ways of trying to
I don't
impact your
know, like
community.
it kind of like Nipsey kind
Nipsey
of
had
started.
more. No, Nipsey did not have to be at the store every day at that point. That was a choice. That was
Yeah,
him
he didn't
being
live
in
I
in the
his
don't know.
60s no
community.
more. You know what I'm
I don't
saying?
really
Like,
know.
he was,
I don't really know
Like
if he had to be there or not. The point
I'm
I'm
saying,
making is
Nipsey was at a point in his life when he had just put out the biggest record of his life, the
okay.
biggest album of his life. He had
Okay.
employees at the
I'm
store.
gonna tell you. Matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you why I
Shout
completely
out to
disagree.
Sam. Shout out to Sam and the good
I'm gonna
folks over
tell you
there.
why I completely disagree. Now that I think about it, Nipsey Hussle called himself a community activist. You cannot be a community activist and not
And
be in the
not be in the
community.
community. So I no, that's two different things. But I'm saying like
I agree.
the community activism part, I'm not arguing at all. But he could have purely owned that store and not been there.
Oh
And,
no,
and
he could
he
have
could have
like
he
a
could
lot
have
of people.
funded. That's
But
all
this is
I'm
what I'm
saying.
saying.
So
This is what I'm saying. Like
it's like the
LeBron James just
impact of him was from him being in the hood. I get that.
uh, LeBron James does not have to have or own a piece of property in Akron, Ohio, but he does. Like he has a house in Akron, Ohio. He is nothing. He doesn't have to be in Akron, Ohio. He don't hoop in Akron. He don't do anything. What I'm saying is it 100% necessity? Absolutely not, because some people's schedule don't even allow them to come back to the community, but ever so often. So no, I feel like if you're doing something out of the goodness of your heart and you're putting things in place, that's a blessing in itself. You got to pay it forward. But some people always gonna try to take it a step further, like your Muhammad Ali's and what he did for Louisville and different things of that nature. I think that's just an individual. I think that's an individual choice. Um, I don't mind it either way. You know, if you're giving back in some way to your community, whether that's through programs, grants, scholarships, just starting a scholarship fund. Shoot, Big Sean has a scholarship fund, and he don't necessarily be in Detroit every day. You know what I mean? But he has a scholarship fund. He's done things for Cass Tech High School. So I just feel like if you're giving it a try, um,
No,
then you do it. Shit.
I think the conversation right now that we're actually having, without actually having it, and I'll be the one to say it, is the problem isn't what people do, what any artist or celebrity does. It's really more what they do versus the expectation. And then that gets bled into Twitter and other social platforms and just hood gossip about who a person is or is not, which can become detrimental to that person's brand. And we're not touching on that. It's like we're not touching on the fact that at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, the expectation a person could give $10 million. A person could give $10 million and it'd be like, but I got a billion, so it doesn't matter. Or a person could be like, I gave 10 million and I only made 50 million, and I gave 20% of my tour earnings or this year's money to this community thing. Does it hit different? Depends on who you are. It's still $10 million.
Well, well,
So that's the
I'm a,
part of it that makes it open to interpretation.
I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna twist it and say that the people in the community are fucked up because it don't matter what the fuck a person gave you because they don't have to give you nothing. So if somebody's providing something for my kid to have a better life or get school supplies this year or a pair of gym shoes this year, I'm grateful. And that's a broader topic that we don't talk about. It's in 2022 with the internet and troll like generation is the lack of gratitude. Nobody's really grateful for shit because a nigga don't owe you nothing. That's the one thing that my mother instilled in me is like the world owes you nothing. Like nobody owes you shit. I don't walk around like somebody because if that's the case, why America ain't gave black people what they owe us?
That's
Why
sort
would
of
it
where, okay, so I'm glad you just said that, Twan, because that's sort of what I'm trying to drive at. If we know collectively America is not going to give us what we're owed, by us, I mean the black community in America, if we pretty much know that's not going to happen, it's on us to do it ourselves then, right?
I mean,
So,
yeah,
so then
but
that's where my
So
question
that's
becomes,
where he's
how
saying
much
that's
of
where
an
he's saying the
expectation should
expectation.
we have
That's where the
on the wealthy?
expectation from the community comes.
I don't have
That's
no
my question.
expectation. Me
Well, no,
personally,
How
I
do
don't have.
we?
we're not talking about you. We're not talking about you. We're talking
I
at
don't think you
large.
can have an expectation of nobody because at the end of the day,
I don't disagree with you, but it doesn't change that we do. This is like, okay, as a person who I don't even want to
I
go into
don't.
like, hold on.
So
I don't want to wait. I'm not saying I haven't even said anything yet.
no, I
What
mean
I'm
like I don't have any expectation for people.
I get you, but what I'm saying to you is we try not to. It's a everyday practice to remind yourself not to do the natural human thing, which is
Hold
to
on. Let
have
me ask y'all
an
this, not to cut you off. Maybe I'm completely different. When I was growing up and I didn't have certain things, I never said, why don't Barry Sanders give me no money? Or why don't Jerome Bettis?
That's
Like,
I'm not.
what?
No, that's reaching. No, that's reaching. I'm talking about on a basic level. It is natural human nature to have expectations. If you've
Let me
done
ask you this.
everything, hold on. If you parked your car in your driveway and you locked your shit, or you put it in your garage and you locked it, you have an expectation tomorrow morning that your car will be there, even though you should wake up every day and be like,
Hold
I
on,
left
hold on.
my shit
Hold on,
outside.
hold on. Hold on. It depends on what neighborhood I'm in. It's
But now you
depending on
see,
the neighborhood,
now you,
it's an
but wait,
expectation and a
no,
hope.
no. What you're saying is that if I live in a certain neighborhood, I can expect that my car will be there. It's still an
Exactly.
expectation though, but it's still,
Yeah, absolutely.
we're still
Yeah.
building. All I'm saying is it's natural for humans to have expectations because our brains function that way. So we're trying to work in reverse to remind ourselves to give people more room and more grace
I
to
understand.
operate outside of what our brain will naturally
I,
force on a person
I understand
and
what you're
expect.
saying. I understand what you're saying completely. The part that's ludicrous to me is like, how could you have that expectation on a human being, but you don't have expectation on the government? You don't get out and vote. You don't get out and pick your city council people. You don't do none of the shit to get the government funded in your community.
But that's a small percentage of people, or that's a percentage. I won't say small. I'll rephrase. That's a percentage. We're speaking to one specific dynamic now. What about the people who I'm assuming Shane is speaking to? And correct me if I'm wrong. Shane right now is speaking to the individuals who do go out and vote. They do pay their taxes. They are active in their communities, and they're looking at billionaires who are from these same communities not give back.
Well,
And if
I'm
Because
agree.
that
that
was another.
individual,
No, no,
Just
no, no,
real
no.
quick, because that was another piece of it that I expressed. That I'm glad you just brought that up, Flaw. Because I was saying that there's a certain level of empathy that you would think that people with money who came from not having money would have for those who still don't have money, because they've lived
No,
both lives. They'd
but
have
but
both
but I
perspectives.
also told
Whereas the
Shane
poor
my
person
argument.
only has the poor perspective, so they're not going to understand what
I,
all these rich
But
people
I,
problems are.
I argued
You
that
know
with
what I'm
Shane.
saying? They're
I
not going to
literally,
understand those problems at all.
but we argued
There's
that
no way for them to, because they've never been in that position,
but
whereas the rich
it's
person
not
has
about
been in both.
it's not about the person being rich. The person who's rich has more information, but it doesn't change the fact that they understand being poor. And people want to talk
Right.
about, oh well, I've only been poor. I don't have the rich side. But the truth of the matter is, the rich person is looking at you like, I know what I had to do to stop being poor. You don't need to have the rich playbook. You need to. I understand being poor. So
this is the truth.
if you talk to a rich person and you're poor, usually a rich person asks you questions. They ask you, what are you doing? How much are you spending a month? Are you living outside of your means? They ask you a litany of questions to try
This
to
is the
figure out.
this is the
Go ahead.
honest to God truth. I've won. How many billionaires are coming from our communities? I don't know a billionaire that came from 48235. I know a couple of millionaires. And in America, what's really $1 million? What's really $1 million? You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, we looking at it like, oh, they made it or they went to this other level. But it's like, in the big scheme of things, what's really $1 million? But this is the truth right here. I've talked to people who have made it to 7 figures, 8 figures, and I ask them the same questions, like, well, won't you do this, or what you do that, or won't you do this? And their main thing is like a proverb from the Bible, like, I can feed a dude a fish meal and that'll feed him for a day, or they can try to take in this information and I can teach them how to fish. The whole thing that they'll be saying is it's a lack of financial knowledge. Like, why would I just put $1 million in some people's hand who's still doing poor habits? Like, what is that really going to change? Now, the truth of the matter is, now if you say, okay, I'm gonna spend $1 million teaching financial literacy classes, that's different. But it's like, I'm not just about to give you no money and you still have very poor habits. It's the same thing that happened with lottery winners who have terrible habits. They be poor in 3-4 years. It's like, it's about the education is what I'm saying. Now, you're right. If everybody that got millions pool their money into educational programs and give incentives, like, hey, man, if you complete this program, maybe we give you $20,000 to start an idea. Maybe we do. Yes, but education has to come with it. Just giving people money ain't going to do nothing. We saw that during the finger quote pandemic. Where are all them niggas at now?
That's true. That's true. Yeah, no, I mean, that's why I wanted, to have this discussion, because there are different perspectives, on this. There's like I said, there's the people who, haven't seen that. And like I said, they don't necessarily, like you said, when with more money, oftentimes comes more information and more resources and more connections to people, which then allow you to do what Warren Buffett was talking about in the clip, which was be around people who are doing better than you, so that way you can learn from them and then start doing better yourself.
Wait, we gotta stop. But wait, we gotta.
You know something. Let me say this, Flaw. Let me get this off real quick. You know something they never talk about though? It's what about the Mike Tysons of the world and the Evander Holyfields of the world and the MC Hammers of the world who tried to bring the hood with them, and look how that turned out. Look, nobody never talks about those guys who tried to bring everybody with them.
Even worse than that. Even worse than that is on a simpler level of what are you actually asking these people for? Like, what are you actually asking for? Like, I tell people all the time, like, when you deal with a person, especially it's multiple layers. If you're dealing with a person who took extremes to get out of their situation, and you talk to them about a lack of opportunity, they're more inclined to understand. But if you're talking to somebody who went to like night classes, you're talking to somebody who stayed late and went to school, they have less empathy. In my experience of talking to multiple different kinds of Black individuals who have come out of these dire situations.
And
if they did the hard way, if they did the night classes and they did the junior colleges and they did the extra hours at the law firm or whatever to climb themselves out, they are a lot less empathetic.
But let me ask you this.
I'm gonna tell you why though.
Real quick. Let me just ask you.
And
this,
I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm not saying they're wrong
or right, but this is why I feel like that can be confusing, because don't we typically all work harder now so that way the people who come behind us have it easier? Isn't that like the goal of like paving the way forward? So why do we want people to go through the exact same struggles?
I think it depends on what you mean by
why do we want people to go through the exact same struggles we went through to get where we at? We should be paving the way to make it easier for the people that come behind us.
But that's where you're not understanding the difference. So you want me to go all the way back versus me snatching a kid who maybe is struggling in school or has to work an extra job to do school, and they're in law school or whatever, and you pick that kid to be your intern and you give them a paid internship. Mm-hmm. Now the internship wasn't originally going to be paid, but you see this kid, they have talent, versus you deciding that you're going to pick somebody up to try to convince them that they need to take school seriously for them to take high school serious enough to be able to get into a school. You see what I'm saying?
So nobody wants to talk about this. Nobody wants to talk about this.
Hold on. The definition of paving that road has to be defined. It doesn't mean that you always have to go all the way back. Technically, she is paying it forward, or he or she in that case could be paying it forward in a way that isn't necessarily seen that way. But,
but in the way that you just described it, it is making it easier for that intern, though, because you just turned it from a non-paid internship, which is adding all this time onto them working a job and going to school and all this stuff. Now that you turn that into a paid internship, that alleviates some of that other concern. So you made it easier for them to walk down that road still.
Absolutely.
No, but that's the point I'm saying. That's not going back to hold on. That's not going back to ground zero.
That's not exactly my point. We shouldn't be expecting people to go back to ground zero. Is exactly my point.
But we do. That's my point. We're not looking at the number of millionaires who are helping people. We're the people who usually are making the most noise are in the earlier stages of needing help. So if a millionaire comes in and helps somebody who they've been seeing get from 0 to 5, 0 to 6, and they help them get from 6 to 10, and they got 10 people in their circle that they've helped get from 6 to 10. Mm-hmm. I took 10 of my homies who finally made it to 100K, and I showed them how to make their first million. So I helped create 10 millionaires as opposed to trying to convert any number of people to make that first 100,000. You may not see that because other people will look at it as you're helping the rich get richer. That's the problem. People would see that as you're helping somebody who already has 100K. And it's like, his 100K is nothing. He got 100K, but he showed me that he has the work ethic, the healthy habits, the financial habits Twan was just talking about. This person has shown me that they've done the work to be worthy of me fast tracking their experience. I slept on floors for some of the contacts I have, studio floors. I stayed up all night. I rode multiple buses to get places. I did all kind of crazy shit to make these contacts and build these relationships. So yeah, I do have the ability to send an email or a group text immediately and fast track your situation. But you got to make me believe that you've done your part to get that. I'm not just out here fast tracking and introducing people left and right. That's crazy.
Okay. And I'll give you that. But let me ask you this. Like, does that always have to be, and I'm guessing the answer is no, but the example that you gave was financial. So does that always have to be measured financially? Like you said, no. You can help 100,000-aire become a millionaire. It's like, okay, but what if people want to make that first 100,000 and they have the work ethic and stuff, but you don't notice them because they ain't got to level 6 yet, like you just said, which is, I guess, 100,000.
What happened to this though? What happened to this, Shane? What happened to self-motivation and looking at other people and being motivated from that? How the hell? So you think Barack Obama becoming the president of the United States, just the simple fact that he did it, didn't inspire some other black politician to aim higher? Like, bro, me making it out of the same situation as you should be an inspiration. Like, if that's what you're trying to do. And that's the point I'm making. You know how many people I've seen come back and reach back for a person that didn't want to do it? And they end up wasting time, and I'm not ignoring resources, maybe burning bridges.
Yeah, I don't want to ignore that aspect of it, but I think sometimes, and it's just, I guess, my opinion, but I think sometimes people with money tend to focus on that aspect of the population almost to the point of it being an excuse for them to not help. Where they'll be like, "Oh, they're just lazy anyway," and blah blah blah. And everybody I've dealt with is like, "Yeah, but how many people have you dealt?"
I think sometimes though, Shane, we don't never look at the other side. Like, okay.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do here.
What I'm saying is, look at what Flaw just said, right? Mm-hmm. Look at the sacrifices he said he made in his musical journey. 2 and 3 buses, sleeping on floors, doing whatever it might have took. So I went through all that, and it might have took me years to accumulate these contacts. Now you want me just to get his contact up and then I turn you on to somebody. Remember, most black people always only got their foot halfway in the door anyway. So I introduce you and you fuck the whole shit up because I'm taking a gamble on you. You hadn't showed no initiative. You hadn't showed that you was even wanting to do this shit. What about that?
Now my contact looking at me sideways because I wasted his time and put him
Nobody
on to somebody
looks
who
at
wasn't
that.
serious.
Nobody looks at that.
But the truth, you know what? Some of this conversation is the reality of how many people are actually in the position. And I say this from a place of being more understanding today. If you've never been in the position, but the crazy thing is this, it's all about mentality. Because we've all been in the position to plug somebody else. It could be plugging somebody. It could be, it could be plugging a barber. It don't have to be $1 million deal.
At all.
Like, that's part of the problem. That's part of the problem. So if you can understand that you are the plug in some way, shape, or form to somebody in your life, you are the plug, then you should be able to understand that mentality a little bit better. You should be able to step back, remove the money, and just understand the seat of, you need something from me. Your barber wasn't sick or not available. You got a hot date, a party, an interview, or whatever, and you need something from me. And I happen to have the person who will pull up on you at 11 o'clock at night. That's valuable.
Man, listen here. I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm gonna look at Flaw Hat and coming from the community that I came from and saying hustle or adapt. You know what hustlers adapt to? You know how many hustlers I know that then let a nigga sweet talk them into giving them a pack? Man, please give me a chance. Please give me a chance. And nigga squat on you. How many times that's gonna happen before that hustler adapt?
I mean, and I understand that, but I guess I come from the exact opposite side of that, where I asked a nigga to give me a chance one time. He took a risk, gave me that chance, and I made it worth it. So
I
you get what I'm saying?
Wait. So
and I feel like in this conversation, I feel like I'm, like, and it's cool, you know what I'm saying? But I'm the only one that's taking that position as the person who's like, yo, if you give me the chance, I actually can do something with it. Y'all are like, if you do that, it's not gonna be good.
No,
it's like,
no.
You know what I'm saying?
There's two parts. Hold on. We got to understand. No, the person asking for help very seldomly is taking into account the position of the person they're asking from it for. They're usually focused on the problem that they're trying to solve for themselves.
That's factual.
And that blocks your ability to understand this other person's situation. Now, I've had people literally call me and say, that talk to me about what they need. And I've literally told people, how many phone calls you think I got today from people needing something similar? How many phone calls this week? So I understand your problem is a 911 to you. And that's the thing. You learn not to carry other people's shit because other people will put it on you for you to carry.
All I was saying, Shane, is you have to be cognizant of who you're giving these opportunities to. You have to be wise in that decision making, because if you made it, you know how hard it is to make it. And I think that's the biggest thing that people forget, because let's be honest, a lot of our community haven't had a lot of success. So they have no idea what it takes. So to them, it's not that big of a deal. They might not know what the hell it takes to make $1 million legally. So all I'll be saying is you got to give grace both ways, and come at a person with a plan and an idea instead of just asking. And then don't get this. The thing that I always realize is like how resilient are you? Because if I tell you no, I know some niggas and some millionaires that'll tell you no the first time off bail just to see how resilient you are.
Just to see. How about this? Are you gonna move forward on this regardless? If it's a business, as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Or you only launching your podcast if I give you this $50K that you need.
Exactly. You don't really want it that bad.
You only launching the podcast if I give you $50K. You're not launching the podcast and building it brick by brick, doing whatever you got to do. Because in my experience, that person will come back to you and be like, yo, bro, I see you doing your thing. I see you're committed. A lot of this is about commitment. It's easy to ask for something.
And let's take it a step further, Flaw. It's easier to want to do ideas on somebody else's money.
That's a whole nother conversation. That's a very easy thing too. Everybody got an idea when you know somebody with the money that can fund it.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, the reality of it is, how many of us have sat in the seat of the financer? And there's not enough of us who sat in that seat. Now, what I'll also share is this that I think is an interesting topic that needs to be broached.
And then I'm gonna say something.
The first group of people that usually folks with money try to help is family. You want to know who actually burns that bridge first for somebody with money? It's actually the family.
Absolutely.
It's actually family. Usually, not in all situations, but in a lot of situations, because that's the first round of people that you feel obligated to support. That's the first round of people that you feel obligated to help. So when you get your bag or bags or whatever, those are the people that you like, all right, man, yeah, man, I got to take care of so-and-so. I got to look out for so-and-so. And you're more receptive to that business plan that's half cooked, or, you know what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be. That's the major part of it. So by the time a friend gets to you or an associate gets to you, you've already been hit with 50 proposals. You might already be 2 million or whatever percentage of your bag into some shit that you don't even really want to be in. But no one sees that perspective, and no one talks about that side because they don't have that experience, like you were saying, Shane. So the reality is this conversation is always going to be lopsided, not in this room or this group, but it's going to always be lopsided because there's always going to be more Black people that have never had their hands on a large chunk of change.
And then on top of that, it's always going to be because you're putting emotion and you're putting bias into it. And the thing that I always thought to myself, if I ever was to ask one of my friends to have more wealth than me, is like, if I'm going to come with them with a proposal, I'm going to act like they're not even my friend. I'm going to literally behave as if they're just a venture capitalist or a bank. Everything that I have to do to try to convince them about the plan, having everything laid out to a T. This is where every single one of your dollars is going to be spent. Nobody talks about that. Like a nigga just to come up to you like, give me 200 bands. I want to start a fish sandwich shop, and the nigga go buy a deep fryer and some grease. Where my other 199,000 go? Like, come with somebody with a detailed plan. Make yourself seem serious. Nobody's going to take you serious if you don't take yourself serious. Come with a real business plan. Break down this and that. Everything you would do if you were trying to get money from a stranger. Don't. To me, you should really give more information to your friend because you knew how hard they work for their money. So I really want to convince you to give me the money.
Nah, but it don't work that way. You know how that shit work. You know that shit the friend gets the rose colored pitch. The friend gets the juiced up proposal numbers.
And then something else.
Or gets less information altogether and is expected to buy in.
You know something else that we don't take into account when it comes to friends and family? It's like, bro, you gotta convince me because I really know you. You've been a fuck up our whole life. Bro, I really know you. What have you done? So because I made it somehow, or God made me 6'9", and I didn't put in work in the gym when y'all niggas was partying and fucking girls, and I had to go shoot extra layups or run extra routes. Now you want my money?
And my thing is this, just to be clear, because here, Shane, I want to argue this other side really fast. Here,
because I just wanted to ask this question real quick. Just real quick, I wanted to ask this question. How much of that do you think is that behavior that you're discussing right now, Twan, that fuck up behavior that you've been a fuck up our whole life, all that shit? How much do you think of that is due to environment? Because I remember again on a previous podcast that we had when Dave was on here, shout out Dot, that you were saying niggas aren't naturally gonna choose to be fuck ups. A lot of times
No, I
that shit
think
is
it's.
in the
I think it's.
environment.
I
So
think
do
it's.
you
I
think if
think
you
it's.
were to put people in a better environment that they would make better choices?
I'm a piggyback off of Flaw. It's definitely environment, but at the same time, if you're 40 years old, you done already created those habits. So I'd be better off of saying, bro, you can move out the way, but I help your two sons. I help your 14 and 15-year-old son, but I ain't gotta help you. You might be entrenched in the habits already. Because you got to realize this, most people have to look out for their immediate family as well. That's just like if I strike it rich and got 10, $15 million, before I think about anybody, I got to think about my daughters. Nigga, I don't
100%.
care nothing you got going on. I have to think about my two kids first, and then I can start thinking about everybody else. And then it's the truth of the matter is, if I feel like, man, look, I don't necessarily know if I trust you with the money, bro. But guess what? You got a 17-year-old daughter, you got a 14-year-old son, man. They can intern with me every summer. Hey, man, whatever you want to send them to a better high school, I pay the tuition.
That happens
But
a lot. And I've seen people get upset because they're not really looking for help. They're looking for money.
there you go.
Like for example, I've told people in the past, like, yo, I like your idea, but you got to use my business people. I'll pay for it. I believe in what you're talking about, but I don't trust your business people. I don't trust you got to use all my business people, and you got to use our accounting system. Dude didn't want to do it. It's like, cool. They went out of business last year.
I just think, Shane, is multiple layers to it. I think as long as you're reaching back and you're helping some people in the community, because I'm not going to lie, I'm that person. If I ever get a ton of money, I'm going to the youth, people with the least amount of bad habits, people that are easily moldable. I'm going to open a school like a LeBron or a Jalen Rose. I'm going to try to invigorate the youth, because the truth of the matter is, this is what niggas don't realize too. How many niggas have helped niggas or helped other men? And then are you going to reach back once I help you become a millionaire? Or are you going to stop and be selfish? It's like,
And that's
are
why
you
I
going
said,
to pay it forward?
if your motto is, I'm trying to, not to be funny, but Jay just said how many, billionaires came from Hove crib. Billionaires with a B. He not counting millionaires no more, as an example. So imagine how many millionaires there are if there's that many billionaires that he's made. If there's 4 billionaires in the crew, how many millionaires are in the crew then? How many millionaires did those 4 billionaires create? And now it's on those other millionaires to create more millionaires. It's on Jay's job, for example, in the context of this conversation, it would be Jay's job to help figure out who's doing really well and help them get to the B level. It's not his job today, per se, to stop and help somebody get to their first 100K or their first M.
And you know what? And it's the thing I'm going to say. I'm going to end it on too. Shane, Flaw making a lot of sense in the sense that nobody think of. Sometimes a person has eclipsed and is too far removed from a 100K crowd. Bro, you can't even move shoulders with the people I'm around. Like, I can't even bring you around. You're going to feel like a duck out of water. But if you got a couple M's, if you got a couple million, I can bring you around and put you in a position, and now you got 100. Now you got $1 billion. But what I look like being a billionaire bringing you around and you ain't got nothing, you're going to feel out of place. 9 times out of 10, you're going to feel like the help. People, that's just how it goes,
It's
bro.
also, are you equipped? Are you equipped? Do you have, because a lot of this, Shane, is about the person. So I'm going to not even make it general right now. I'm going to say a lot of this is the person. But guess what? The right person in this situation that is poor and looking for help is going to do all of the steps that we talked about in this hour. They're going to come to you with a business plan. They're going to come to you with the financials laid out. They're going to come to you with the return on investment plan. They're going to come to you with an exit and how we get out of this thing clean. They're going to come to you with these steps, either because they've done the homework themselves or because they've invested in themselves to get that information. They're not going to put you in a situation where it's, I'm just coming with my vigor and energy.
I would like to see, you know, just so I can say clearly what I would like to see. Because I've done some bitching and complaining on here about how people feel, but I haven't laid out exactly what I think the people I'm speaking to would like to see. They would just like to see not necessarily Jay-Z coming back to Brooklyn, hanging out in the projects, trying to save people. But they would like to see, and I'm not, you know, I'm using his name, probably, you know, probably a bad, right, but probably a bad example because I'm sure he does all of these things.
He probably
does all these things, but just you know, just sticking with the example, they would like to see a Jay-Z meet up with the mayor in Brooklyn and create a community center and fund some, you know, education, different things like that. So that way, like Twan said, then the youth can come up in better circumstances so they can be more equipped to do the things that you guys are talking about. Because I think if things stay the way they are right now, it's still going to just be that one person who essentially gets lucky. Like there's mad hustlers in the hood, but only one of them really gets out. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think if a lot of these people who made it, you know what I mean? And just using the LeBron James example, like, you know, how he built a school and he's building community centers and he's doing these things in the neighborhoods. I think if there was more of that, I don't think.
Can I say this? Can I say this though?
Go ahead.
This is what's kind of weird to me, and I'm being honest because I have friends of all races. I have never heard a white person say that. I have never heard a white person say,
they have this responsibility
Billy J. Cyrus should come back to. I've never heard a white person say Kid Rock should come back.
But the truth is, there's already a community center there that's being properly.
No, not in certain. I mean,
I'm talking about at large.
But this is the point I'm making.
And a lot of the pop artists come from.
Let me say this. You're right.
All of them.
You're making,
a lot of pop artists come from privilege.
He's making the point that I'm making. But I have seen my middle class white friends, not rich at all, 100K a year, middle class friends that live in Ferndale, Royal Oak, go to their city council people and say, I pay X amount of dollars in taxes. I'd be damned if it ain't a community center for my kid to go to. I'd be damned if my trash don't get picked up.
But where does that tax money come from? That comes from home ownership, right? That comes from property taxes is where a lot of that comes from. And how many people in the hood own their property? Not very many. That's why our schools are worse.
You know what? That's now we're getting into an interesting thing, and you guys may get an extended clip today because we just touched the nerve. So the reality there is twofold. The problem there is Black people do own those homes, but they're removed and got property owners and tenants who are actually living in the community who have the problems. So they're the ones who are actually potentially going to these city council meetings, voicing displeasure, but they don't actually own the properties. So they're seen as second-class citizens because they're not actually the property owner. And the property owner doesn't live in the neighborhood to give a fuck what the fuck is going on.
Well, let's keep it funky then.
Disconnect there.
Let's keep it funky then, Shane. If a lot of people don't own property in the hood, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, for whatever reason, could be financial, could be a lot of things. Then at some point, we got to keep it real and we have to adjust within our community. If I'm allowing such and such boys to come through the hood and pump whatever they pumping, and they're making money hand over fist, then the community has to approach some of these guys and say, hey, what are you doing for the community? Because we're not going to keep letting you get free bias of moving shit in our hood and you ain't giving back. Like, where's the responsibility on them niggas?
I mean, we talked about that. Yeah, we talked about that in one of the previous episodes. We definitely touched on that.
Yeah. Like, hey, bro.
We talked about the community having.
And it's the point I'm making. Any smart business man or woman, if you have a community to say, man, Miss such and such won't call the police on you if you have your goons look out for her when she carrying her groceries. Hey man, the kids need a block party. Hey man, the kids need back to school drives, which I will commend a lot of the new rappers in Detroit this year. I saw about 12, 13 rappers doing back to school shit.
See, that's what I'm talking about, right? It starts there.
Now
Even
I
though
gotta
they
say
on
this.
some bullshit, even
I
though they
have
on
to
some
say
bullshit
this.
a lot of times too with their little
No,
beef
I
and
was
all that
gonna,
stupid shit.
I was
They
gonna ask a
starting.
simpler question though. Now
Go
I
ahead.
gotta ask. Now I gotta be the devil advocate to that. How much of that has become a marketing ploy?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't even care.
I
I
don't
don't even
care.
care how much. Yeah.
I don't
If
No,
you're
either.
no,
doing
no,
the
no, no,
right
no,
thing
no,
for
no,
the
no,
wrong
no.
reasons,
No,
I don't care.
wait. No, wait. Now I say that not from a place of. Now that's an interesting thing. Now that's an interesting thing to when we get into intention, because yes, y'all just had an argument of you can't affect the community if you're not there. Now, if you want to tell me that you showing up and doing something for a marketing ploy is being in the community, that's going one time. That's a one-time thing. That's a one-off.
Yeah.
That's not a, you know what I'm saying?
The
That's
only
why I
reason,
asked that question. That's not an,
the only
and I
reason,
do, because that's no different than you just sending. You don't have to do this is my point. You don't have to do the drive to give away the goods. You don't have to do the marketing ploy and press of you being there to give away the goods. You don't have to do that.
I'm not,
That's why. That's the only reason I said that.
you don't
Because
have
there
to,
are
right?
several. As a rapper who's donated to Coats for Kids and Toys for Tots and all of these other things, there
I
are
look at
some
it
things
completely.
that you do. For me personally, there are some things that you do because that's what's on you to do.
I
Like,
also look at things from both ways and polarity and duality
I'm
in
not,
this sense.
first off, and let me say, I'm not knocking nobody that did it, just to be clear.
Because this the
I just
truth.
asked the question.
This the truth. A lot of people want to control their own narrative. Like if all you hear me do is say these certain lyrics, and now people are painting me with a broad string brush. No, bro, I ain't just that. Like I'm not just that. I'm a real human being. Like, yes, I could be a killer for real. You know how many killers I know that are, I hate
Amazing
to put it this
philanthropists.
way, that are
Amazing
Most
great
of them
philanthropists.
are.
philanthropists.
They're very
That's what I
Most
was
of
gonna say. Most of them are like them dudes who can make your granny laugh and help her with her groceries in the crib and fix a flat tire for your auntie and all of that type of shit. All that shit that is good traits. You know what I mean? Like that helpful. You know what I'm saying? They'll tell the
I
kids,
don't,
"Hey
but I
man,
gotta
get in
be
the
honest.
house.
I
You don't
don't
need
know
to
if
be
that's in
outside
the
because it's
young.
not."
I don't know if that's in the younger generation.
I
Right
don't
now,
know
I
either.
think
But I
I
had that.
think,
I
and
had
I'm
a
not
big
saying
cousin
that
like
there
that.
isn't. I'm not
Oh
saying
no,
that
I
it
think
is
it's
or
not.
it isn't.
I think it's not in the younger generations because we haven't really put the expectations on them, you know. And I'm gonna say that's why again I'm commending, and they know who I'm talking about if they see this podcast. I'm commending these rappers I saw in Detroit that I know are 25 and younger, who decided to do give backs and coats and books, because at the end of the day, this is the truth nobody wants to speak on. Most billionaires have done horrible things to get
Yeah,
that money.
to get the money, most,
So it's like we
or
can't make this a
they
moral
snake
thing.
somebody, or they snake somebody.
You have
Exactly.
to. It's almost impossible.
It's like we can't make this a morality thing, because it's like you said, if my daughter is starving and she's about to die, I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna care if the guy that gave her a sandwich also killed somebody. Like at the end of the day, I just was happy he had it in his
So
heart to
my
give my daughter that sandwich.
now I go, so now that makes me, and again, I only ask these questions about intention because it leads down a dark path. And maybe that's just me, but it leads down a place of, as long as you're helping me fulfill my current need, that bypasses my moral compass or
I'm
code.
gonna be honest with me. It is no moral compass just based off my religion. I was taught
But
not to judge.
you
No, listen to what I'm saying. I was just
you
taught.
do have a moral
No, no,
code
no,
and a
no.
moral. There's shit you don't fuck with.
I'm about to
Here, let me say
explain what
this.
I mean.
I
What I was
think
about to
everybody's
explain
moral
is
compass. Go ahead. Go
my
ahead. Go
moral
ahead.
compass isn't to judge you. Like at the end of the day, we always look at somebody, oh, such and such smoked such and such. Do you know why he felt he had to take it there? I don't
No.
know.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about situations that there are situations and things that have you've encountered that have created a dynamic where you don't fuck with people. We all have those situations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
Here's
I'm
what I
gonna
was
say
gonna
this.
say. I was
So
gonna
so
I'm gonna say
and
this.
let me
it
say
could
This
this
be
the
real
based
point.
quick.
Let me
on
make this
moral,
point. Let me
moral
make this
code
point.
then.
Let me make this one point. The things that Robert Kelly are accused of, right, is one of
Mhm.
the things that I don't fuck with. I think it's atrocious. The things that he are accused of, right? But
Mhm.
then that does not mean that every foundation and every scholarship that Robert Kelly gave out was fruitless. Like, I don't think they go hand in hand. Like, you can do terrible things and you can do good things. Like, I don't get how people don't realize that most people have a sun side and a shadow side. Like,
No, 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 no.
they're not
I get it.
connected.
Okay, Shane, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, I think that everyone's moral compass is pretty much dictated based on your level of desperation. That's what I was gonna say. So, under normal circumstances, you might not fuck with a thief, obviously. But if you find out that the reason that that nigga stole something is because he had to feed a starving child or whatever, then you might judge that differently. You're gonna be like, yeah, I still don't fuck with the stealing, but I understand why he did it. You know what I'm saying? Or killing. You might not be a murderer. You might not fuck with murder. But if you find out, oh dang, he raped your mom and the police didn't come to the house when you called, and that's why you did, okay. Still don't fuck with murder, but I understand. So I think your level
I'm
of
gonna be
desperation dictates how you view morality.
I'm gonna be honest, fellas, and this is just one of my probably extreme ways of thinking. Like, I don't really take no moral compass from anybody who pays dollars to America. Like, you're pumping money into one of the most immoral things that ever existed. So it's like, get the fuck out of here. Like, if you can figure out how to get through that in your mind, then you should be able to get through that on a personal level. Like, we can just read books of all the atrocities that the country we live in, who I proudly live here, have done to people in the country and outside of the country. So it'd be weird to me when people get to talking that, and it'd be like, well, where does your morality start and stop?
Well, then there's a certain level of how much do you have to live within a system that you're born into, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you can choose to opt out and not fuck with it, but how hard is
People
your
do
life
it
going
all
to be if
day.
you do that?
And Shane, and that's all I'm saying is, if it's a choice, I don't have no excuse for you. There's literally
I
people
got you.
who there's literally people who choose to opt out and not fuck with it at all. So
Yeah.
don't like, it's people who make that choice, just like it's people who choose to abstain from sex. You know how, like, we can get into that, but man, I'm ooh. No, it's some brothers who just choose not to have sex. Like, no, I ain't gonna have
Mhm.
sex till I'm married. You don't have to have premarital sex. It's still a choice. I don't care how much the system feeds it on you. It's a choice. This is the point I'm making. It's people that are Muslims that if pork was the only meat left in the world, guess what? They wouldn't be eating meat.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I'm with
like,
you.
it's a
But that's
personal choice.
Go ahead, Flo.
I guess that's for me, that's true belief in something. That's true discipline. Like, if I say I don't eat pork and you take away fish and chicken and steak and all of these things, and it's like, damn, I gotta be a vegetarian and vegan, or I gotta break the fact that I said I don't eat pork. That's when you find out who you are.
Absolutely.
To me. So when I ask these questions, it's not built off of desperation for me.
But I
Like
think that is, though,
my internal
because I think that
code.
is. No, I'm saying for that person who has to make that choice, I think that is based on desperation because they had all these other options to not eat the pork. So it was easy for them to say no to it. Once they only have that one choice, that's the desperation at that point, and
Absolutely.
that will make
How
or break
bad
you.
how bad do you want to eat meat?
But what
Exactly. And if you really have that moral code, then you're gonna not eat the pork still. You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
saying is that's the moment of truth where you find out who you are.
I agree.
That's what
I agree.
and
This is the
I'm
point.
not saying that if you decide to break on pork, that means you'll break in every other area of your life. Just for everybody watching, I'm not saying that that's the case, but I am saying that you would be saying that you're losing that pork war. And if you look at your life and break it down into individual sections like that of your personal internal compass, which we all have an internal compass, whether we want to acknowledge it and talk about it or not. We have that internal thing that's like, yo, this ain't cool, or this is how I believe this should be handled. We all have that. So because of that, I really think everybody needs to just slow down, take 2 steps back and be like, wait, where do I really feel on this situation? And if you're willing to be honest with yourself, sometimes you got to be like, yo, I got to walk away from this situation, and it's going to hurt. That's when you know that you really have a moral compass. That's when you know that you have a code, when the shit hurts. If it doesn't hurt, it didn't cost you anything. That's not sacrifice.
I mean, it's all about sacrifice. I mean,
No,
Dave
I'm
Chappelle,
saying I'm
just
saying there's
saying,
no
Dave
sacrifice. True
Chappelle walked away.
sacrifice hurts. True
Dave,
sacrifice hurts, though. That's all I'm saying.
Dave
If
Chappelle
it
walked
doesn't
away
hurt,
from 50 million
that
because it was
hurts.
shit they wanted him to exactly. But what I'm
But that
saying
it's
is,
only sacrifice if it hurts, and that's why Dave Chappelle walking away from 50 million was real, because his moral compass and his moral code trumped $50 million. And how many
absolutely.
people fold for the 50 million? That's all I'm saying. So it
This
doesn't
is the
matter
point I'm
what the
making. See,
situation is.
but even that is weird, because what I'm saying is even that is kind of judgmental. When you say a person folded, that's you putting them up to your moral compass. Maybe their moral compass wasn't that.
No. How about this? If you tell me I don't eat pork, I'm not holding you to no shit I put up on you. I'm holding you to you.
No, I
didn't
meant
put- I
like
didn't-
I
I
meant
didn't
like I
decide
meant
that
like
you don't
money
eat pork, as
situation.
an
I meant,
example.
yeah, like pork is, I get it, but I'm talking about it's different. Okay, like this. Man, it's $1 million on the table. Go in there and kill this dude. But you can't ask no questions. Because I be like, no, I ain't fucking with it. I can't necessarily judge the nigga who do, because he might not have the same moral compass that I have.
I didn't
I don't
say
know.
judge. Wait. I did not. At no point did I say we were
No, I'm just
judging the
speaking on
person.
what I'm saying. Like,
Well,
I
I think
just feel like
when you use the word fold is where Twan was
that's
like,
what I was
that
saying.
sounds like you judging. Like you're
No,
saying
no,
I
no, no,
folded,
no.
you're putting a judgment on me now.
No, time out. This is the part that's amazing to me about people taking things personal. If I say I'm not eating pork, and I'm sticking with the pork as just a basic example. If I say I'm not eating pork and I'm out somewhere and they got some fire thick looking bacon and I'll put it on my burger. Real simple shit, right? No, I'll put everybody back up. I like seeing everybody right now. So if I'm got this beautiful bacon, I'm like, man, fuck it, I'm gonna eat this bacon. They put it on there without me knowing. I asked for no bacon and they give it to me. It looked too good. I go ahead and I eat it. If Twan is at the table with me and he like, yo, and Twan like, yo, what happened to the pork thing? What happened? And I'm like, damn, it just looked too good. It don't mean that I didn't fold.
No, I get it in that. I get it in that. I get it in that. I get it in that regard, because that's kind of,
whether somebody calls me on it or not. The fact of the matter is, I had a personal thing with myself and I folded. People have a hard time acknowledging that
no, you're right. See, this is the point I was about to make.
That they don't fucking meet. Like
this
real shit.
This is the part I was about to make. And that bacon and pork thing is so cut and dry. What I was about to say before I get off is like a lot of people moral compass, honestly, they don't even express. It'd be more of an internal thing. So you don't even necessarily know. Like, I don't know.
No,
and I
a
know
lot
you
of
two
people
gentlemen
talk too
well.
much. A lot of people talk too much.
What I'm saying is, I know you two gentlemen well, but I don't even know what would trigger either one of you dudes to kill. You see what I'm saying? Like I don't know that. You know what I'm saying? It could be as simple as
That's an extreme. I'm talking about on a basic level.
Oh,
you make a human change and you jump on Instagram.
Hey, my phone about to die, fellas.
All right, man. Appreciate you, Twan. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Catch
I
you
think
next
Sloth
week.
tapped out too. Oh, there you go.
Back. But all right, Twan.
All right, fellas, man. Good show. Hit y'all up.
Absolutely. All right. Flaw, we back though. So yeah, man. I definitely I get what you're saying. Like I said, I think sometimes again it goes back to that whole it's not what you say, but it's how you say it thing. And I think he just
Oh
took issue
no,
with the word.
no. I definitely
It
understand.
was the word
No,
choice.
I
not
get it. No.
necessarily-
Look. I get it. It's a touchy thing,
Mhm.
and I know why it's touchy. And I talk like that to myself to hold myself accountable. So I'm not putting that on anybody else.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
use that purely as a tool to keep myself accountable, because the reality is I did fold. The
Mhm.
reality is, in that small section of my life, I came up short.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean I can't do better. It doesn't mean I can't get back on the wagon and not eat pork for the rest of my life after that. But I do have to first acknowledge that I came up short. And that's where real growth happens.
See, I
In
think
that
that I think right there might have, like, because I hear that, I interpret those words differently. If somebody tells me I folded, because I equate that with street shit almost. Like when somebody, if you fold in the streets, it's almost like you're no good no more. You know what I'm saying? And that's typically the context that at least I hear that in. So fold is personally, I'm just like,
It's
you tell me
strong.
I fold
No,
is
it's
super strong.
strong.
But if you
It's
tell me I fell
and
short, it's like, oh, I got some
no,
improvement and then I can get back on and be
yeah, but
straight.
that's the shit you tell yourself. That's what I'm
Mhm.
saying. For me, I I'm not sensitive with myself.
Yeah.
I'm not sensitive. I'm more sensitive with other people than I am with myself. I'm more like,
Facts.
yo, the
Mhm.
fuck it, nigga.
Yeah.
You folded on that. Like you just gave in on that. Like deal with it.
Mhm.
You didn't have to eat that bacon. That was some weak shit. Deal with it. That was some fucking weak shit. That was weak as fuck of you to eat that bacon because it was on your plate already. It was weak. You had a weak moment. Own that.
Mhm.
But guess what? Or you need to be okay with, I don't eat bacon that often. And you need to adjust the way you look at it.
Mhm.
Okay, you know what? If it's some amazing looking, I ain't gonna just wake up and throw some bacon in the oven. But if I'm out somewhere and I see some premium bacon, I might throw some bacon on my burger every once in a while. The only thing that you have to change is I don't eat bacon.
Right.
I don't eat bacon that often.
Right. Yeah. No, I feel you. I feel you.
And it changes everything. But when you're so defiant on something, you gotta also deal with how defiant you are on it.
You got to be careful with how you say stuff. You definitely
That's
do. Because
that's
people,
it.
because like you said, you can only hold somebody to what they say. You know what I'm
That's
saying? Like, so this was a good conversation, man. I appreciate you for joining us, everybody. You know what I mean? Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the Ethos Media Network. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Ethos Media Net. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Ethos Media Network. Share those pages with your friends, with your family. We appreciate all the love and support. We will catch y'all next week. Peace.